everyone. My name is Jackie Kelly. I'm the town manager, and I welcome you to this segment of Hometown Holden. Today, we'll be talking to Chief George Sherrill, and we'll be focusing on the activities and the facility of the Holden Police Department. I'm standing here at the Holden Public Safety Building, where the police department is based, and we will be looking at and touring the Emergency Operations Center, the Emergency Dispatch Center, our squad area and room, and we'll be taking a look at some of our vehicles. So welcome to the program. I'd like to introduce Holden's Police Chief, George Sherrill. Hi, George.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us here this morning. George has been with the town police department for almost 40 years, and he served us very well for the last 15 years as the town's chief. He's a very well-respected individual, and I appreciate the time you've taken to show us around this amazing facility. Maybe you can tell us, George, a little bit more about yourself and then what we'll be seeing today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you and welcome. As the town manager mentioned, I've been here with the town for almost 40 years, and started in 1974 as a part-time dispatcher at the Damon House, 1174 Main Street, and went up the ranks to patrolman, sergeant, and then chief in 1998. It's been a great job, a great career, and a great community to work for. Good town government in the town of Holden.
We're in the Emergency Operations Center right now. Maybe you can tell us where we will head next and a little bit more about what we'll be seeing.
Okay, this is the town's Emergency Operations Center. It also serves as a classroom for fire and police for training. We not only do training for our own folks, but we have become, I believe, the hub for the area towns and even portions of the county to provide good first quality police training here. One of my goals as a chief is to make sure our folks get the best training possible, and we bring the speakers to our facility now. We have a great facility here. That was the goal of the new building. We can seat 50 in here very comfortably and get 60 to 70 people in here using some folding chairs. We also use this room as the Emergency Operations Center for the town. So in the event of an emergency, another ice storm, tornado, big snowstorm, we can run the town from this one room. All the key players are under one cover here: the fire, police, DPW, town accountant. Everything can be run from this one room. It's hooked up for radios, for the computers. We can generate the town payroll from here if we have to, in the event that the town hall is shut down for a number of days. It's just a well thought out room and facility, and a lot of credit goes to the building committee that worked for 12 years to get this built, and for the architect and the contractor as well.
Thank you, George. That was very informative, and I appreciate, and I'm sure people in the audience appreciate knowing more about the Emergency Operations Center. Where will we go next?
From here, we will go into the records department, and then from there to the roll call room. We're in the records room of the police department, and as you can see, this is the area where we store all of our records, whether it be an accident, an arrest, or an incident report taken by officers out in the field. The police logs are also stored in here, and one of the rules of Massachusetts public records law is everything has to be accessible to the public.
The storage of records is very important, and I was wondering, George, if you could tell us how this facility compares to what we had before in the old police station.
Well, going way back to the old Damon House and even the old police station at 1420 Main Street, things were just stored in cardboard boxes in the basement or out in a trailer in the parking lot. And they tended to get very moldy, musty, insect-ridden. So this facility is state-of-the-art, and things are kept here in pristine condition.
In your tenure here with the Holden Police Department, is there any case that really sticks out in your mind?
Some of the records that we have to keep forever include all the murders, all the sexual assaults, and crimes of the more violent nature. And there was a bank robbery in 1964, which we still have the records on, and are displayed in the lobby. And some of the evidence from those crimes and the bank robbery we still have to hold on to because of the nature of the offense. So it's interesting to look back and read some of those reports. Certainly, criminal investigation techniques have changed over the years.
Over 50 years.
Over 50 years, and you look at the technology and the advances that policing has made, it's remarkable. It really is.
Thank you, George. Where are we going to go next?
From here, we will go right around the corner into the roll call room where officers receive their assignments at the beginning of every shift.
Okay.
Here we are in the roll call, the training room. And what this room is used for is at the beginning of every shift, the sergeant will get together with a patrolman on that shift and discuss what is going on for the day. What's the game plan? They'll talk about the activity on the previous shifts. And we also try to make training an important component of that roll call, that training aspect, and get as much bang for the buck as you will, and make every day a training day. And we'll talk about such issues as criminal law, traffic laws that have changed, first aid, and another aspect that we talk about quite a bit is school safety. As you can see, this room has the Wachusett school plans displayed for the officers to see every day, and we make that a high priority in this department, school safety within the town.
Chief, what other kinds of assignments do you delegate to your staff?
We have in this room every day an officer that will go to court, and we will discuss with him what cases are coming up for that day and who has to attend. We also have a full-time school resource officer that attends the roll call and informs us of the activities of the school for that day or for the week. So a lot of dialogue, communication among officers. We've never had that luxury before in the old station. We just didn't have the room or the ability to have a roll call.
Well, thank you very much. From here, we're going to move to our dispatch center. We're standing in the dispatch center. This is really the nerve center for all our communications here in the town of Holden. Standing to my left is the supervising dispatcher, Steve Zambruski, and he is in charge of the center today, and you'll be hearing a little bit more from him after I ask George a question. George, this communication center was not like this. It's taken many years to get here, and maybe you can give us a little bit of background on how we got to where we are.
Sure. Once again, I have to give the architect and the folks at State 911 a lot of credit for helping us work through designing this room. And it really is state-of-the-art. And in fact, the folks down in Taunton, State 911, use this as an example of one of the most modern facilities in the state. We built it for the future of the town, thinking 30, 40 years out. Thus, we have 4 dispatch consoles, so that in the event of an emergency or a big event, an ice storm, we can have 4 dispatchers on duty answering the 911 calls. All 911 calls come into this room. All the radio calls for the region and Holden Fire Department come into this room. All the communications with the ambulances come into this room. So it's vital that this room be kept up and running 24/7. It has its own power source. In the event that we lose power in the town or in the building, it has its own backup to the backup. So we're always thinking ahead on redundancy in this room. And it's cost thousands of dollars to equip this. The cameras for the building and for the town are here, and we can monitor the traffic on Main Street as well from this room. The dispatcher has to take care of the wants and needs of the officers, and everything is integrated, whether it be the computers in the police cars to the radio traffic. Everything is integrated through the dispatcher. So it's the most vital room, I believe, in the town. As I'd mentioned, a lot has happened to get to this point with this new facility. I can remember going back when I was dispatching at the Damon House, we had 2 telephones, a blue phone and a red phone, and a manual typewriter. And when someone would call for medical attention, we would send a police car, and the police cars back in those days were station wagons. And the person would be put into the back of the station wagon, and we would drive to the hospital as fast as we could. The state has come down with new standards now for medical dispatching. The town has 3 ambulances on call, ready to go to respond to those needs. And here is Steve Zambruski to talk about how the dispatchers train and dispatch ambulances to the folks in the community.
Chief, as you mentioned, our dispatchers are very highly trained in medical procedures. If a citizen were to call 911 and ask for an ambulance in town, we could give them over the phone directions on how to treat a patient if needed, and then update responding ambulance units as they were en route. Our dispatchers go through a very intense 40-hour class given by State 911, and then following a very intense training with a training dispatcher, myself or another trained dispatcher, and then we go from there and allow them to work on their own. But that information, that medical training, gives them, the caller, the opportunity to be able to treat the patient as the ambulance is responding, then be able to update callers and as the call continues. We usually have about under a minute to get the call out, and then get back with the caller and give them more information as it comes in, and we can update our responders, police and fire.
One of the interesting pieces of equipment in this room is the GPS mapping, which we installed back in 2010. And the dispatcher, by looking at the map over my shoulder, can see where every car is in the town of Holden. And it's important for 2 reasons. Number 1 is officer safety. We can make sure that that officer is okay and doing his job. And secondly, the dispatcher, when he gets a call, can look at the map and send the closest car to that call, saving precious seconds in an emergency. So it served well the last 3 years. It's worked well, and we're very happy to have that piece of equipment. As we move forward, we're looking into the area of regional dispatch as well. We're looking in 6 months to have Princeton on board, and another year out to have West Boylston on board, where we would be dispatching calls for those communities from this room. So we designed this room well for the future of Holden, but actually it's going to be serving the region. So we're very happy with that aspect of it.
Regionalization really provides a higher level of service for both towns involved and potentially a third town involved. And it's a much more economical operation because you're sharing costs. So we're looking forward to regional dispatch going online. And I know Steve, who's the supervisor, will be involved in making sure that implementation runs very smoothly. Steve, is there some piece of advice you'd like to share with our residents in regards to when they have to dial 911?
I have to answer. Holden police lines recorded.
We're back. We had a call come into the comm center that had to be dealt with. I was asking Steve if he could give people at home some tips on contacting the center with using a cell phone.
Absolutely. When residents call the dispatch center, they should know to give their name and a callback number, especially when calling 911. And they should know when calling 911 from a cell phone in town, it gets directed by the state police back to the dispatch center here in Holden, and we deal with the call from there. From a landline phone, the call comes right here if you dial 911, but just to know that you need to give a name and a callback number and a location so that we can best address your needs. And 911 should be used for really 3 things. One is to report a fire, report a medical emergency, and then to report a crime. Those are really the only 3 things you should use for is 911. Other calls can go through the non-emergency line.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
I think we're going to be moving on to look at some of our weapons.
Okay. We're here in the weapons room, and we're going to talk about the various weapons that the department has. When I came on the department way back, we had 38 caliber, and then we transitioned to a 357, and then in 1995 to the SIG 40. And a lot of thought went into the type of weapons that the department trains with, and also the expense. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Officer Adam Picaro, our firearms trainer for the department, and he'll explain the pros and cons of each of the weapons involved.
Thank you, Chief. Here in front of us, we have several weapons, like the Chief said. This is the most recent handgun that we have from the 38. This is the actually 40 caliber. It's a SIG 229. That's our sidearm. That's what we carry all the time with us. That's what we use as our belt weapon, as you can see here. And we keep the spare mags for that on our belt as well. So that's what we would always have with us no matter what. To go a little bit further, we have an AR-15 rifle. Again, this is used for long distance. It's a platform where it carries a lot more ammunition than the handgun would. This, of course, in coming years has been proven over and over again through the military, and just as a reliable gun, a reliable platform for us. Over here we have a shotgun. It's a standard police weapon. They've been around for years. We keep them in the cruisers. They have their place. They're a powerful weapon. If we need to use them against big game, we can use them in that sense too. This version is pretty standard as well. It's a pump action. A lot of people are familiar with that generally when we show them. Over here we have a taser. It's an electronic weapon. It's described as non-lethal or less than lethal. This can be used to incapacitate somebody temporarily. It launches 2 probes into a suspect or a combative person, and it gives us the opportunity to have a few seconds to handcuff that person if they're trying to be combative. As far as the training goes with all these weapons, each is a little bit different. We train several times a year on both the handgun and the rifle and the shotgun. We try to get to the range as much as possible. The more time there, the better. Again, it's becoming familiar and having these weapons at our disposal and knowing how to use them, and then also being trained to use them if the situation involves a lot of stress, and being able to act efficiently under those circumstances as well. And this is pretty much our standard weapons. We do have some other stuff, but these are the tools that we count on the most.
Thank you, Adam. From here, I think we'll go over into the cell block area. Okay, we're here in the cell block area of the police station, everybody's favorite location. And this is the place where officers bring subjects under arrest. We sometimes hold prisoners for other area departments as well. If the cells at the barracks are full, they will bring their prisoners down here for booking and holding. We can hold 6 people here. The cells are unisex, so there's no designation of we get 4 females and 2 males. We can accommodate everybody. Most people will get bailed at some point during the arrest process, and unfortunately some people don't get bailed and are stuck here for the weekend, and if Monday's a holiday, they're here till Tuesday. One of the important aspects of this section of the building is officer safety, and everything in this area is video and audio recorded to protect the officer, the department, and the town from any liability. We are responsible for the prisoners' medical needs, for their food, for their care while they're under our protection. So it's an important aspect liability-wise for the town that everything in this area runs smoothly, efficiently, and safely. As far as the process of what happens when a prisoner is brought in, I'm going to turn that over to Officer Adam Picaro to talk about that.
Thank you. The process actually, thanks to the building, is a lot simpler than it used to be. Coming from a very small building where everything was very condensed, We were actually on top of each other, and moving prisoners in and around that building was difficult for us because they'd be actually in earshot of the dispatch and the actual microphones and everything else that was going on in the station at the time. Here, everything's separate, everything's easy to maintain. If there's a problem, it's contained in this part of the building. If we have a cooperative subject, it's very easy to deal with that person. They come in through the man trap over here. When we get out of the cruiser, we just escort them in. We come around. We're able to take them out of there if we need to. If they're being non-cooperative, we can speak to them through the glass and do an entire booking process right through without actually having to have any, giving them the ability to have any contact with us. But usually, if they are cooperative, we'll take them out. We'll just have them have a seat here. We'll handcuff them as part of the process. We'll just ask them a series of booking questions. We'll do any other procedures that need to go along with that. If it's an OUI arrest, we can use the breathalyzer, which is over on the other side of the BAT machine. And everything is set up so we can go from station to station. The fingerprints are behind me. You know, after we're done booking that person, we'll fingerprint them. It's done electronically. That gets sent to the FBI. If there's any outstanding warrants or concerns, the FBI will kick that back to us, and we're notified here if there's anything that we should be concerned with. We also have an interview room over here if we need it. That can also be used for attorneys. Like the chief said, the cells are separate. They can be used in conjunction with one another if we do have a lot of males or a lot of females. We also have a designated juvenile cell, which we use for that specific reason. And we're able to monitor everybody through video and audio in this facility.
I would also like to mention that once a year, the Department of Public Health will come in, inspect our cells. They'll test the water temperature, make sure that they're free and clear of debris, and give us a certificate that they meet state standards. So there's all sorts of levels of compliance that have to be met and to hold prisoners in Massachusetts. After this area, I'd like to transition over into the garage area and show you where the cars are brought in with the prisoners, and Officer Picaro will show you some of the equipment in the vehicle. We're in the garage area of the police station, and this is where the cars come in with the prisoners to be taken into the booking area and be processed. We're also, this area, we wash the cars, keep them clean, check the fluids, and just another important room of the police station. We're standing in front of one of the new 2014 Ford Interceptors, the SUV version, and we have transitioned our fleet over into this area as Ford has phased out the Crown Victoria last year. And we're excited about these new vehicles. They're all-wheel drive, and no more need to put chains on the rear wheels of the old Crown Victorias as we used to many, many years ago. And it just makes it so much easier and simpler and safer for the officers to respond to emergencies. As a chief, I'm very proud of our fleet. I hope the citizens note that the cars are always kept clean. Our equipment in the cars is second to none. They're all equipped with defibrillators, GPS, computers, stop sticks. You name it, we have it, and that's one thing as a chief I'm very proud of, that our officers have the best equipment to respond to the needs of the community. I'm going to turn it over once again to Adam Picaro at this point to discuss some more aspects of the cars and the booking process with the prisoners.
Thank you, Chief. Going to an SUV style vehicle is a big change for a lot of people. It's definitely a different style for us. It was a little process of getting used to it. I think a lot of people are coming on board, and I think we're actually going to find that these are going to be the car of the future for policing. They give us a lot more opportunity, a lot more room. They are rated in the same way that the sedans are rated. For us, it's very comfortable. We wear a lot of equipment. Our belts alone can be up to 20 pounds, and fitting in a car seat's a little bit tight sometimes. But with these, we get that added room. They're versatile. We don't have to worry about slippery road conditions as much. We're able to store equipment in the back here with the SUV. You can open it up. You got a lot more room to see where your equipment is. Like the chief said, there's a lot of different things that we have in those cruisers, and to get to that in a hurry, having an SUV actually helps out with that. In the back seat, not too concerned about comfort, but there is a lot more room to get prisoners in and out of. That helps us when we have somebody that's maybe not being compliant, or maybe somebody that can't move on their own as freely as we'd like them to. That helps us get people in and out. In the front, we have the computers. There's more room in that area as well. There's a keyboard and a screen right there for us, where with the SUV we've actually got a little bit more room to work and position that computer than we did in the Crown Vics. For us, when we come into this bay, we'll pull the car in. If we have a prisoner, we'll take them out. We'll escort them from the cruiser into the booking area that is behind you, and there that whole booking process starts. It's like I said, it's been I think a step forward to get these vehicles, and so far personally I've been very happy with them. I think a lot of the guys and women on the department are coming on board with this as well. So I look forward to using these in the future.
And from here, we will go to our final room, and I think the favorite of the department is our physical fitness facility.
Here we are at the fitness center at the Public Safety Facility. This center is used by both the police and the fire department personnel. Our police department was the first department in the nation to establish fitness standards for its employees. And the chief also told me that we were also the first in the nation to institute a no smoking policy for our officers. George, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. That was developed in the 1980s, and it was groundbreaking back then. The first department in the nation to have no smoking on or off duty, and now 2013, that's the norm. A police officer and firefighter in Massachusetts cannot smoke on or off duty. That has been upheld by the courts and civil service. It's grounds for termination. Mm-hmm. So I think it's good. You know, you look at healthcare cost and fitness of your employees. You know, you want nothing but the best. I mentioned when we were in the garage about the appearance of the cruisers, and I think by having officers exercise, we test them for their height and weight ratio as well, that it shows the public that we're willing, able to respond to their needs. We're in good shape, and we should be. They expect their first responders to be able to respond to their needs, and they need people to show up fit for duty. So mm-hmm. I think it's very, very important. Mm-hmm. It also, I think, increases morale and also decreases sick time in the department as well. Injured on duty rates are much lower for a department that has some sort of a wellness program. So the payoffs are, I think, tenfold for the equipment that's in here in the new facility, and it gets used 24/7. You can come in here some mornings at 5 in the morning, and there's people in here working out before their shifts. So it's an important room, and it gets a lot of use. Mm-hmm.
Another very important landmark or benchmark that this department has achieved is state accreditation. And that accreditation has involved a great deal of work by almost every member of this department, the chief and his command staff. And I'd like to ask the chief to explain a little bit more about what that means to the department and to our community.
Sure, thank you. Accreditation certification is really to professionalize the department in the delivery of police services in the town. And we have to meet over 100 standards to reach that peak. And I'm proud to say we've done that now 4 series of inspections in a row. And what that entails is a team of inspectors from other departments will come in and look at certain things such as evidence, such as our fleet, such as weapons, training, and to make sure that we meet the standards and we're adhering to the best practices in the field. So it's rigorous, it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort, but it really has professionalized policing in Holden, and it's something that the town and the department should be very proud of.
Well, this concludes our tour of the police department. Chief Sherrill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For escorting us through the building, and please thank your staff for their efforts as well. I'd also like to thank the staff of Holden Community Television for the fine work they do behind the scenes. And I hope that the viewing audience has enjoyed this segment. If you have any questions about the Holden Police Department, you can access their website at the town's website, which is www.holdenma.gov. So we hope to see you there, and thanks again for tuning in.